This week, a long sought-after ceasefire between Israel and Hamas is achieved. The question, will it hold?
Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America.
President Biden says goodbye to the nation and leaves the White House with a warning.
The attack on our nation's capital on January 6, 2021 was an unprecedented assault on the seat of American democracy.
A report from Special Counsel Jack Smith on Trump's involvement in the January 6th riot is made public.
There was a coordinated smear campaign orchestrated in the media against us.
Confirmation hearings begin for Trump's cabinet picks.
I think that is very timely for us to go ahead and dive into those issues right here at the beginning of the session with a special session within the regular session so that we can address those extremely important issues first.
And the 114th Tennessee General Assembly is underway, but will be interrupted by a controversial special session. Hello again and welcome to another edition of This Week. It has been an historic week, the final week of the Biden presidency, a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war. A report from Special Counsel Jack Smith says had Donald Trump not won re-election, he would have been convicted for inciting the January 6th riot. But we begin here in Nashville with a controversial special legislative session called by Governor Bill Lee.
There are three big issues Governor Bill Lee is betting on in a special legislative session.
I think that is very timely for us to go ahead and dive into those issues right here at the beginning of the session with a special session within the regular session so that we can address those extremely important issues first.
School vouchers should come as no surprise. After Governor Lee's proposal to create a universal program failed last session, the votes could be tight in the House and Senate this time around.
I think it's close, but I think we'll probably have enough.
Next on the list, tackling illegal immigration to prepare for President-elect Donald Trump to take office. Even though Lee promised in a letter with other Republican governors to use tools like the National Guard to deport illegal immigrants if necessary, the Republican leadership says they haven't talked about approving money to do that during the special session. Others haven't heard any proposals.
I would hope they concentrate on the people with criminal records and get them out first because they're the ones causing trouble.
The special session will also address Hurricane Helene relief, including a property tax relief bill for survivors, a measure Democrats call a political ploy that points back to school vouchers.
The people in Northeast Tennessee have continued to suffer without vital funds and relief while their governor was trying to destroy their public schools and line up enough votes for a voucher scam, which he is now pairing with that relief as political leverage.
Republicans say that's just not true.
These are three separate issues that we will be handling within a special session at the same time, but none of these three issues are linked to the other.
Governor Lee says he will call this special session on January 27th. No word on how long it could last. At the Capitol, I'm Tori Gessner.
The 114th regular Tennessee legislative session began this week. State Capitol reporter Tori Gessner has more on lawmakers' priorities.
Inside the chambers, the gavels drop. Outside, advocates' voices echo in the Capitol halls, hoping to turn their causes into law. School vouchers are on the top of the bill list, and the minds of those against and for.
Educational freedom can change a child's life, and we know that. And so this is why we want to see universal access to all families.
LGBTQ+ and human rights groups are showing up in force to show their opposition to bills they call a slate of hate.
We are playing defense, unfortunately, this year again.
One bill they're pushing against would require residential educational programs to separate bathrooms, changing areas and showers by biological gender, which they say could have a bigger impact on the state.
From the business perspective, I meet with tourism companies, businesses thinking of moving here to Tennessee, and they're not because the laws are pushing away our constituents and their constituents and customers.
Nonpartisan nonprofits like Voices for a Safer Tennessee want to make communities safer while respecting the Second Amendment and working with the current legislature, advocating for expanding background checks to keep guns away from people who can't legally have them, increasing secure firearm storage through education and affordable storage options, and enacting temporary transfer policies.
We don't think we need a new law for this right now. We think that we can incentivize and add to current laws already on the books that would just put a few more protections in place so that convicted domestic abusers, people who have orders of protection against them, people who are in danger of harming themselves or others might temporarily
Only time will tell with how things play out this session. Earlier today, lawmakers were debating on new rules for this session, which will go on all week. One of the most controversial is a House rule that would limit lawmakers to just 10 bills for the entire session. Reporting in Nashville, I'm Tori Gessner.
TBI data shows human trafficking is up 400% in recent years. It's why Tennessee lawmakers are crafting new legislation to combat the problem. Here's News 2's Mai Owens.
While it seems like this elusive thing that may be happening in other places, it's definitely happening right here in our own backyard.
Encore, Tennessee provides aftercare service to human trafficking survivors. Recently, the organization reporting an increase in calls to their hotline, going from 501 referrals in 2023 to 639 in 2024.
We definitely are seeing an uptick and an increase in the amount of people that are looking for services or that law enforcement's coming into contact with that are in need of services because of their trafficking situation.
It's why this month, Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn introduced 4 bills aimed at combating human trafficking.
We need like full wraparound support, and it starts with, having laws in place and structures in place to be able to have protections for people who are victimized.
The bill points to the success of the data collection program from Belmont University after the school teamed up with Engage Together to understand where human trafficking is happening in Tennessee. Through research they found in Tennessee, the 5 counties with the highest risk for human trafficking are Shelby, Madison, Davidson, Hamilton, and Bradley.
The data really is not there. So in order to understand it, we have to capture what's going on.
Senator Blackburn, along with Senator Amy Klobuchar, a Democrat, introduced the bipartisan National Human Trafficking Database Act. It would compile state trafficking crime data, streamline connections with survivor support organizations, and create incentives for state law enforcement agencies to report data.
Having like a comprehensive plan in place for law enforcement and service providers and everyone to be able to access information so that we can assist more people across the country.
And another one of Blackburn's bills focuses on helping state and local governments combat the smuggling of young women and girls across the U.S.-Mexico border. To read about each one of the bills being proposed, visit WKRN.com.
A new lawsuit against the state claims Tennesseans are being left hungry because the state SNAP or food stamp program is unreliable and slow. State Capitol reporter Tori Gessner explains.
At The Contributor, the nonprofit's newspaper has stories of struggle, resilience, and hope, written and sold by those living on Nashville's streets to help them get on their feet.
That income helps them get housing and food and all sorts of other things that we all need.
Many still rely on SNAP food stamps to feed their families, a system The Contributor and others say is so riddled with problems, they're suing the state. The lawsuit against the commissioner of the Tennessee Department of Human Services claims the state takes too long to process applications and denies people who actually qualify, violating federal law and leaving families without food.
The people that we work with on getting SNAP are met with all sorts of delays and confusion and frustration when they're trying to get just help with food.
The lawsuit details nearly a dozen stories accusing DHS of wrongfully denying people's benefits and delaying their hearings to appeal, leading to evictions, bankruptcy, and worsening health issues like hyperthyroidism and prediabetes. We reported similar problems last January when DHS said a system change caused a backlog of applications.
Some nights that, of course, I would just tell my fiance and my daughter to eat and, not really worry about myself, because that's what I feel like is important, but we shouldn't have to do that.
According to the lawsuit, the problems have been so bad, The Contributor has had to devote significant resources toward helping people overcome the barriers, including hiring a SNAP coordinator.
We're spending our resources as a nonprofit to deal with a system that could be a lot better.
The newspaper nonprofit turning the page to a legal battle in hopes of a more efficient and timely SNAP system to better serve Tennesseans in need.
When people can't get food, they have to make some really tough choices. And so we want people to get the resources they need as quickly as possible. And so that's what we're working towards through this litigation.
I reached out to the Department of Human Services for comment and am waiting to hear back. Reporting in Nashville, I'm Tori Gessner.
Now to our This Week cover story. House lawmakers here in Tennessee are tightening the rules this legislative session, limiting the number of bills members can sponsor to 12 each, and giving the Speaker the power to sideline disruptive members and the audience. State Capitol reporter Tori Gessner explains.
After expelling 3 Democratic House members for protesting on the floor in 2023, a change to the rules this legislative session.
I think it enhances what we're doing and allows us varying options for bad behavior.
Under the new rules, the Speaker has the power to eject lawmakers he deems repeatedly disruptive, sending them to vote on legislation virtually, an option they didn't have during the expulsions. The Speaker can also kick out people in the gallery for being disorderly. House Majority Leader William Lamberth says this is for repeated offenders who started causing issues a couple of years ago.
I mean, it's literally a few bad apples that try to spoil the bunch. And so all this rule does is say we're going to pluck those bad apples out and say, unfortunately, for a short time, until you can learn to behave yourself in common, decent culture and public, then you're just not going to be able to be in the observation gallery.
House members can now bring just 12 bills each, down from 15 last session. Republicans say it'll make things more efficient, but some Democrats feel the changes give the supermajority even more power.
We're going to limit welcoming and honoring because we don't want to hear your voice. We're going to limit you to 5 minutes because we don't want to hear your voice. We're going to limit your bills now because we don't want to hear your voice. That does not sound like a body that is confident in their power. That sounds like a group who is fragile in their power.
Democrats proposed several amendments to the rules, but the Republicans shot down every one.
At the end of the day, you're on the House floor and you expect to have decorum and respect for the institution. Same thing if you're in the gallery. The same thing applies.
Reporting in Nashville, I'm Tori Gessner.
Stay with us. This Week continues in a moment.